So good morning, Governor, Chancellors, Vice Chancellors, all dignitaries, and most importantly, you dignitaries out there, the students and the parents. It's a pleasure to stand here before you today. I've been associated with one of the major scientific discoveries of our time, and since the time that these discoveries were made public last year, Pakistanis everywhere have showered me with warmth, congratulations, and pride. And I've been moved by all this attention, and I thank you all very much for it, and especially my friends at ITU for bringing me here to be part of this, the recipient of this inaugural Lahore Technology Award. Lahore is a special place. It turns out Wikipedia isn't right. I was actually born in Lahore. So my mother grew up in this historic and beautiful city, and I spent many summers here at my grandparents' home in an area called the Cantonment. It turns out their property actually adjoined a military mess, and one of my memories from that time is getting caught by the groundskeeper stealing mangoes from the tree. So that was an inauspicious time in Lahore. But it's wonderful also to see this very grand and historic old city is today also a hub for innovation and technology, and that ITU is part of that center of that buzz. Okay? Now, gravitational waves were considered to be an impossible dream to ever detect. Einstein predicted them over 100 years ago, and he himself said they would never amount to anything useful. When I began working on these 27 years ago, it was seen as a fool's errand, and yet we've done it. And the reason I bring this up to you today, graduates, is that I hope each and every one of you will experience the euphoria of scientific breakthrough in your careers, and that you'll hang on to the lure of that even when the daily struggles seem overwhelming. But enough about me today. We're gathered to celebrate your achievements. Congratulations. Okay. But let me just say more accurately, today we're celebrating your achievements in the formal part of your education. Your education began long before you got here, and probably not all of it was in school. I'll tell you a little story that I hope you'll carry with you as you go forward. One of my formative experiences that led me towards a career in science was repairing bicycles in Karachi when I was a child. I had inherited an ancient rally bike from my older cousin, and that bike was in constant need of repairs and care. As a 10-year-old, I did not have the money to pay the bike shop, so the bicycle wala taught me how to repair my bike. If I needed parts, he let me have them in exchange for my labor in repairing other bikes that came to his shop. Next door to the bicycle shop was an electrician. When I wanted a bike light, he taught me to cobble together a dynamo. Graduates, do you know what a dynamo is? Maybe you're too young. It's a device that generates electricity from mechanical work. You pedal a bike and it lights up your lamp. Okay? Now, those two men had little formal education themselves and probably never thought of themselves as educators. And yet they taught me things I never could have learned in school at that age, and at maybe no age. Years later, the electronic and mechanical skills I learned in their shops played a role in landing me a position as a graduate student at MIT in the group of my PhD advisor, who was this year, in 2017, the Physics Nobel laureate, Ray Weiss. So I just want you to carry away that our teachers come in unlikely places, but I don't want you to sort of stop believing that your education was useful. School is important too. I got a great education in Karachi, where I grew up, and I want to take this moment to acknowledge parents, because I went to the Convent of Jesus and Mary, and it was a stretch and a struggle for my parents to send me there. They did it with some sacrifice. And so to you parents who have also sacrificed for your kids to have their degrees today, thank you. Please join me in acknowledging your parents. But even in school, my learning came in unconventional ways. My chemistry teacher, Mr. Ranjit, would allow me to go to the lab during recess and after hours to make creative chemical concoctions. In those hours, I learned to make stink bombs, colorful fireworks, and even set off some explosive reactions that would have made a less adventurous teacher cringe, but not Mr. Ranjit. These intellectual adventures sparked my lifelong interest in explorations in the lab, and they have shaped me as an educator myself so many years later, to allow my students to explore, to take risks, even to fail, and to know that I've got their backs along the way. So the one lesson I've learned is that our teachers are everywhere, and they play a unique and important role in our lives. Now, the other thing I want to point out to you is that as teachers, I believe our greatest contribution to education comes as mentors who work side by side with our students, folding their ideas in with our own and creating collaborative intellectual collaborations where we all contribute to the final product. So students, graduates, please never forget that. You too are the generators of ideas, not just absorbers and executors of other people's ideas. Always innovate. My last lesson for you today, and something that's very important to me and something that you have to carry forward, is that you have now joined the class of the privileged. As my friend and colleague Atul said, you are now in the 5%, and that comes with one additional enormous responsibility. An essential ingredient of innovation is good ideas. And great and technical and scientific ideas come from all types of people. People who are members of marginalized communities, from communities that are seen far outside of science, such as the arts and the humanities. So an openness to difference and crossing disciplines is important in the quest for excellence. All around us, there is untapped brilliance that does not find expression due to lack of opportunity, or sometimes due to our own myopic viewpoints and the lenses we look through. Everywhere, worldwide, there are girls and women who are denied opportunities because of their gender. There are men, women, and children for whom economics has curtailed opportunities for a formal education. There are minorities who are persecuted for being different, village folk who are perceived to be too unsophisticated. Ingenuity and excellence are all around us, and we will never achieve our full potential for success if we overlook the tremendous talent among people who are different than ourselves. So, my last request for you is to take this extraordinary education you've received, combine it with principles of integrity and kindness in everything you do, work with others who have walked a different journey than yours, stand up to the forces that destroy equal opportunity for everyone, and you will change the world. At a time when tribalism is on the rise worldwide, the gap between rich and poor grows ever wider, when the health of our beautiful planet is more threatened than ever, when education itself is under siege, your generation is our hope. I hope you will use your education to be a force for good always. Congratulations again, and thank you.